1961 Dodge Lancer wagon. Just a papier-mâché globe.
It's dead.
Let's cut your brake lines. Just...
Hey, what's your last name?
F these guys.
Previously on Mod Garage, you saw Johnny and Zach from Voight's Garage prep a 1935 Ford truck for a road trip, LA to San Francisco.
Hey man, can't even buy $20 shocks, bro?
Fucking wiring under here.
Rubbed it real good. On this episode, we're doing something a little similar with a 1961 Dodge Lancer wagon. I just bought it, and Zach and I are only giving ourselves one day to diagnose and prep all of the problems for the almost 500-mile road trip up the California coast. This could very well be the worst financial decision of my life, so let's take a closer look. So with 60s muscle cars, you really don't see the hood this low. That's because inside is a 225 slant 6. It actually tilts it 30 degrees so you can have a lower hood. Right now, wheels and tires aren't anything to get too excited about. The rear is a little bit wider. We got 205 in the rear. It did come with full wheel covers, but I really like this red. It matches the interior, so maybe we'll just do some baby moons to cover up the lug nuts. The most difficult part of this build is going to have to be these rear quarter panels. You can kind of hear a difference here. That's because this is more or less just a papier-mâché globe made by some middle schoolers right now. There was so much Bondo. It came from Denver. The salted roads in Denver just really ate up the Wheelwell and underneath the rear quarter panel, so I'm definitely going to have to get these replaced eventually. It's going to be difficult. Only 9,700 of these were made, and that was 58 years ago. So if you know of any place selling these rear quarter panels, please let us know. So inside you can see the upholstery is very clean for it being a 58-year-old car. I will have to replace the headliner, some of the lining on the doors, but I love this dash. Dome lights, hazard lights, windshield washers. That's just for the fluid. Actual windshield washer mechanism is here. We've got a light here, but with these old cars, the high beams are actually on the floor next to the emergency brake. And the steering wheel, it's so wide I cannot find a proper cover for it, but I almost don't want to cover it up. And the horn isn't this inner butt here, it's this half circle here. So while you're driving, you kind of just press down on it. Now that we've taken a closer look at it, what do we call this monstrosity? Well, with Halloween right around the corner and it kind of looking like a little bit of a Tim Burton-esque curse, we're gonna call it the hallowagon. Hashtag hallowagon. Let's get it over to Voight's Garage.
So right when you got here, I looked underneath it and saw in the rear, the wheel cylinders look like they're leaking a little bit down the tires, a little brake fluid on there. So that's the first thing we need to address, you know. Brakes on these old cars are already sketchy as it is. We want it to be super solid, you know, so we'll change the brake cylinders out. Looked like the rear shocks back there were original. I mean, you're gonna be driving in traffic a lot too, so I'm thinking we'll put an electric fan on it, you know, keep it nice and cool. Tranny mount felt a little iffy. I could kind of feel it moving around and the clutch would kind of chatter a little bit. Other than that, I mean, car feels pretty solid. I don't think you'll have any issues driving into San Francisco. Easy peasy. Yeah, so this thing's basically shot out. You know, your shock's supposed to recoil up. That way it keeps the car up higher, and this thing just doesn't move at all. It's dead. I mean, this is probably original by the looks of it. So we got some new ones right here. You can see they actually put a strap on it to keep it from expanding all the way. And it'll just slowly start coming out. And that just gives you a smoother ride, keeps your car from bouncing up and down the highway and whatnot, and you can put a little bit more of a load in it. That will really help compared to having this dead thing. Probably bring the back end up a little higher too. That's what your shock's supposed to do. Car was like, boing, boing, boing. I noticed it had some brake fluid on the back of the drum here. In here too, you can see we got some brake fluid. And that'll eventually end up making you lose your brakes. And particularly on this car, you only have one master cylinder. It's not dual, so you only have one single area where it holds the brake fluid, and it has one line. So if you lose fluid there, you lose your brakes completely. Try and take the fitting off the back of the wheel cylinder, so we ended up just twisting the line off. I kind of went with it anyways because I got some brake lines in stock, so no big deal to run a new line.
So Zach, or you crazy X, cut your brake lines. Just watch this video and figure out how to fix it.
It looks like 1961. I bet you if we had to bleed the brakes, we'd probably snap the fitting off anyway. So old. This might be the first time I use brake cleaner actually to clean brakes. I have to take the bleeder out. This one sticks out further than the original. Gotta find a brake line now.
You all right?
Yeah, you get one, and I guess you get 10 more. This is a metric one too. Going about a foot longer. I think that's the one. Thanks, Grandpa. The line's a little shorter than what I want, so I'm trying to get it as tight as I can to everything to try to make it into the wheel cylinder. There you go. Looks factory again.
Zach is working on my car with one hand and calling somebody about parts for another car with the other hand. That's how good of a mechanic he is.
I was driving it around, laying out the clutch. I could kind of feel a lot of chattering, or feel the transmission actually hit the bottom of the car a little bit. So that kind of gives you the sense of the tranny mount, you know. And mounts are so reasonable, like might as well just put all new mounts on it. It's not terrible, it's not ripped.
So Zach's going to reconnect the linkage, we're going to install the electric fan, and then bleed the brakes, and I pray I don't die.
Alright. Hold it. Hold it. Settles real quick now. Original little repair. It's gonna be tough getting past that fan. Got AC now. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Alright, I dropped the bolt. Oh yeah, there it is. Nice and clean now. high-tech funnel of the day. There it is.
So ready to hit the road back up to San Francisco from LA, but one final thing went wrong, because of course it did. My fuel gauge is stuck at E, because why not? So this means we're gonna have to do some math. I have a 13-gallon tank in this thing. It's about 15 miles to the gallon. So I'm gonna play it safe and do 150 miles, but I still don't trust the power to make it up this thing called the Grapevine. If you're going up north of LA County on the 5, you hit this very steep, very narrow canyon area. I don't trust this car on the Grapevine, so I'm going to divert west to Ventura and then go up the 101. It'll add, unfortunately, another hour and a half on my trip at least, but it'll be a lot safer for me and everyone else. Here we are in that beautiful LA skyline. I'm just keeping it in first and just in and out of neutral. Temperature gauge seems to be okay so far. Fuel gauge continues to not work, but what are you gonna do? We should be good to go for a bit. Whoever invented these things is a genius. It's the only reason I haven't passed out yet. So there's definitely cars passing me, but you can see it's handling pretty well for the speed it's going. The closer we get to the coastline, you can definitely tell a difference in temperature of the air, which is great. I was at all the way H on the temperature scale, but it just went down a little bit. Awesome. Things going good so far. Half hour to Ventura. Pretty foggy right now. That would be the ocean, but it's so foggy. So, car made it to Ventura. It was the first checkpoint I really wanted to see if it could survive the bumper-to-bumper traffic in the super hot LA. It was about 60 miles we just drove. Which means I gotta put another 4 gallons back in to make sure it's still full. We'll do 150 to 60 to play it safe, depending on where the gas stations are. And so we're gonna hit up the 101. Ocean. Now we're headed a little further inland from the ocean. The winds picked up my box of hubcaps, and now it sounds like there's a drummer in the back. We are now in Los Padres National Forest. It's really nice up here, but a lot of steep canyon roads. I'm waiting to get to a passing part where people can pass me, because I do not trust this thing going fast on any of these curvy roads. The line behind me isn't too thrilled, but I really don't have a choice. Temperature gauge is way up again now that we've left the ocean and are up in the mountains doing these steep hills. So engine died just south of San Luis Obispo. Radiator sprung like 3 leaks. And this medical tape isn't mine. A cop actually pulled over, was kind enough to give me his medical tape. He didn't have any duct tape, and now I've limped it to a gas station so I can properly patch the radiator and get on the way. So I ran into some more problems. Now the car doesn't want to start at all, and I'm on a hill, so I really don't want to take any risks. And a very nice officer pulled over. It took me forever to get in touch with my towing service, but they thankfully can call them directly. So we are gonna take it into just a gas station and see what's what. So I might have to just let it sit overnight. So I ran out of gas. The problem was that simple. I just didn't realize it because it had only gone 100 miles, and the oil light was what was going off. So I kept thinking it was an oil leak problem, but really the oil light on this car is just the something is wrong light. So I had it towed to a gas station, filled the tank, spit a little in the carburetor, and my attempts to restart the car killed the battery. But the tow service didn't cover that particular battery, so now I have to wait till the morning for an auto parts store to open up, replace the battery, then I can finally go on my way. The road that killed it was called the Cuesta Grade, and it was more or less just as bad as the Grapevine, so stay tuned.
So with the old battery that was in there, the person, whoever may have installed it, didn't install an OEM certified battery rated at 700 propane amps, which would be part 24. That's what's required to be on the car. And unfortunately, we didn't have the fitment for the car through AAA. I was able to get the gentleman over to O'Reilly's, install the battery, get him back on the road. Hopefully making good videos for all you viewers out there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
We'll take that out.
I'm just gonna stop every 50 miles, fill the tank as much as it'll go, check the oil, check the coolant, and do that again every 50 miles for the next 200 miles. Been 100 miles, car's running great. I looked ahead on Google Maps. I can wait it out for a little bit, or I can sit in like 2 hours of backed up traffic with like 3 different accidents. So I'm gonna wait for about 20 minutes or so, and then try to navigate around San Jose up into the North Bay.
Still trying to figure out what this guy's towing. It's a metal box, but there's a bench in it. He's just transporting a big metal sitting box.
68 miles left to go. Every single 50-mile test so far today has been great, so I think I can make it all 68. Nice little backcountry road, diverted off the highway because it was bumper to bumper. There's like 2 accidents or something like that, so just kind of enjoying the view for a little bit. I know I shouldn't be filming while driving, but I really want to. I'm just messing with you guys. I'm here. I made it. After going almost 500 miles in a 58-year-old car that I've never driven before, you'd think I'd have some sort of wise, introspective, whatever, but really, I just need a beer, I need a shower, and I need a good cry. The car's safely back. We've yet to actually take a good inventory of all those awesome spare parts that came with the wagon. So let's get everything out of boxes now and take a look. So first thing up, we've got wheel covers. You can polish these with some Coca-Cola. All right, next up we've got gaskets. We're handing these out for Halloween. We've got the Harry Potter sorting hat, spare tail lamp. Looks like the casing around it's broken, but I think the most important part of this would be the insides. This I'm not sure about. It's not a ignition coil. You know what, this is probably the motor for the windshield wipers. It looks like we've got a second one in case I feel like breaking both my windshield wipers. Here's the ignition coil, an extra carburetor. We've got 2 distributors, and we've got a fuel pump, which is great because I need to get that fuel gauge working. All right, this one is pretty heavy. Another ignition coil. This explains the weight. We've got a differential right here. And a pinion. This next one looks like it's components for the doors. Spare door handle. Looks like a few more components for the interior and part of the heating system. The car does have heating. It's not on right now because it's California. Door grips, some weather stripping, which is going to be great with the amount of body work that I'm going to need to do for this thing. Another fuel gauge for the dash. And this is the last of it, minus the snow tires. These are some brake shoes. Got some headlamps. Cannot stress enough how much these panes of ventilator glass helped out with the trip. With all these spare parts, I should really just break the car on purpose just so I get to use them. And in the end, there's someone I need to thank. Someone who's there from the get-go, whose expertise I couldn't have done without, who, rain or shine, was there to help me. And that's you, Hug Buddy. Surprise! But seriously, could not have done this without Zach. If you're in the LA area and you need something done to your car, go to Voight's Garage. He's the best. And be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, check us out on Instagram, and sign up for our newsletter. Get all the updates on the newest coupons, discounts, new deals, car builds, and vehicle spotlights. See you later.